welcome back to my channel, Simply Kee Samone. If you are new here, I am so happy that you have chose to click on this video today. Something called you. There was a reason that you needed to click on this video today. If anything throughout this video resonates with you or you are just enjoying my vibe, please consider clicking that subscribe button down below. Hit that like button, leave a comment. Please feel free to share this video with someone who you think may need it. I know it's the holiday season, you know, people are going through a lot of things, and I feel like these videos can really help someone. So this is the part 2 of my part 1. If you haven't seen my part 1, I'll leave it up in the cards for you to click on. Go watch that. Today I'm going to be covering how I dealt with depression and anxiety. So just to get started, I feel like depression and anxiety is definitely talked about a lot more than it was talked about maybe 10 or 15 years ago, maybe even 20 years ago. It wasn't really talked about. It's like one of those things where it was a taboo, to where if you were, you know, depressed or had anxiety, you know, people just categorized you as crazy. You're not crazy. But I really started experiencing depression and anxiety around the age of 19. 19 was when I first had when I first had a depression spell. I had just left college, did my freshman year. It was bomb. It was, you know, everything that a college freshman should have endured that year. Like, I went through ups and downs, learned myself a lot. You know, it is what it is. I enjoyed it. I made a lifelong best friend. We're still best friends to this day. And I just really enjoyed it. It was everything that I think a freshman year should be. So moving on to the end of my freshman year, I started coming to the realization that, you know, I didn't really have the funds that I wanted to stay in school. And I didn't want to keep taking out loans, and I didn't want that for myself. So while during my freshman year, my family had moved to Virginia. My mom and my sister, they moved to Virginia, and I packed up all my stuff, you know, against my better judgment. I didn't want to, you know, continue into my sophomore year with, you know, taking out way more loans than what I needed, and just feeling like I really didn't have any money, or just, you know, always knowing or having that feeling in the back of my head that I was just building up all this debt. So I packed up all my stuff from my freshman year of college, and I moved to Virginia. That first, I would say, month or two that I was in Virginia, throughout the summertime, it was easy. It was easier than when everybody else went back to school. And I say that because, you know, everybody's out of school. They're either working or, you know, they're still on campus or whatever. But, you know, a lot of people went home for the summer. Once the new semester has started, you know, people are, you know, back on Instagram, back on Twitter, you know, talking about going back to school. And I slipped into my first bout of depression. It hit me really hard that I didn't go back to school once everybody had went back. I had people writing me on social media, you know, asking me where I was, you know, why I didn't come back to school. And, you know, I don't even know what type of lies I made up at that time. You know, I even had somebody write me and ask me, was I pregnant? Like, it was really bad. I felt as though I let myself down. I felt as though I wanted to go back to school because I felt like I was just missing out on so many things. But I didn't have the money to, and I really could have, you know, taken out more loans, or, you know, got a job and, you know, took a year off, you know, saved up money and went back. But after I had fell into that slump so bad, I just didn't do anything. I felt like I was a failure. I felt like I was a bum almost. Like, I was in my mom's basement. We were living in Virginia, and we were living in a row house. So pretty much all the houses in the DMV have a basement. That was like my apartment, you know, my mom's basement. And I literally, before I had furniture down there, I laid on a pallet on the floor every day in the dark, didn't open the blinds, didn't talk on the phone. You know, my friends would call me, I would ignore their phone calls. I didn't I wasn't eating really. I was just in the dark. I looked sick. I wasn't exposed to any sunlight. I wasn't really doing anything that I felt like was going to better myself at that time, just because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what I wanted to do with life. And I was like, if I do go back to school and I stay here and I don't have to pay a whole bunch of extra money, what am I going to go to school for? So it was just a lot of things that I was going through in my life to where I felt like I just wasn't enough at that time. So I was looking for jobs. I was doing a lot of different things and really just trying to figure out where I belonged in life. I started going to cosmetology school. This is when I, started to come out of my bout of depression. I was like, I need to insert myself into something so that I'm busy. So I'm not, laying around day in and day out, just in my thoughts, like just drowning myself in my sorrow and my thoughts. So, I started cosmetology school. That was one of the many things as a child that I liked doing, because I only did my hair. I honestly, that really wasn't what I wanted to do with my life. It was something that I could do. It's something that I did well, but it's not something that I was passionate about. So I spent a whole bunch of money to go to cosmetology school. That really wasn't what I wanted to do in my life. And I was also working while I was in cosmetology school. If anybody has ever went to cosmetology school, that is like a full-time job. So once you get out of school, you feel like you worked a full day, but really you paid to go to work to learn. I worked at the mall. I worked at Macy's. And then once I finished cosmetology school, I worked 2 jobs. I worked Macy's and I worked at a barbershop. Because I finally figured out, I was like, I don't want to do women's hair. Like, that's not my thing. I don't want it. Like, I love women. A lesbian. I love women, but I can't deal with women. I cannot do their hair. So, I also, when I first came back when I first moved back in with my mom, I was struggling with battling coming out to her, because I had just, realized that I couldn't, date women or talk to women in secrecy anymore. I didn't mention this in my prior video because that really wasn't the sole purpose of that video. But once I graduated high school, that's when I started coming to terms with my sexuality and really taking a hold of the fact that I loved women. And that was another thing that really weighed in on my depression, because I'm like, am I going to be accepted? Is my mom still going to love me? Are my friends still going to love me? The friends that I didn't know at that time, are they still going to love me? How is my family, the rest of my family, going to look at me? How's my little sister going to look at me? So that's another thing that really weighed down on me. And I literally thought of a million things every day, all day. And I didn't talk to anybody about this. So I finally, I was working 2 jobs. I started going through it with my family. They weren't really in agreement with who I was dating at the time. That's another thing that caused a lot of depression. It caused a lot of rift in between the love that I had for my family. I didn't really talk to them about it. It was more so when we did talk about my relationship, it was like a bickering type of thing. And I just hated that. I hated that so much. I finally decided to join the military, and that was like a really rash decision because I knew I didn't want to do cosmetology. I felt like I couldn't really depend on the person that I was with at the time, monetarily, financially, emotionally. We had a bomb relationship. Like, we had an amazing relationship. Like, our relationship was actually really good. But that was just the chapter that we had together, and we grew apart. So I knew that when she went off and did whatever it is that she had to do with her life, I needed to figure out what I needed to do for myself. Like, I needed to make a rash decision, and I needed to make it then. I couldn't live in my mom's basement anymore. I could not, drive a vehicle that I did not own anymore. I could not, live paycheck to paycheck. I could not you know, just keep worrying about how other people were looking at me because I didn't go back to college. Like, it was just so many things that were running through my mind, and it was it was just all weighing so heavy on me. So I up and joined the military. It's crazy because if you wouldn't have known me back then, you'd have been like, oh, that's not for you, sis. Like, like, I still to this day, I'm like, I really made it through basic training, and I really made it through AIT, and I really, you know, made it through, you know, where I was stationed at last, with all these like rules and stipulations, and just like, you know, systematically adjusting to you know, something that you really never saw yourself doing, because I never saw myself doing it. Like I said, it was like a really abrupt decision. I don't regret it by any means, because it helped me, it helped to put me in a position to where I could take care of myself, and to do something that I could look back on and be proud of. But it really was the next door, or the next level for the next bout of depression that I was going to seep into. And it was just sad. It gotten to the point where I would walk out of my workplace and have crying spells. So I would leave out of work, go to the bathroom, and be on the floor in the corner in a stall on the phone with my mom. Like, I don't want to be here. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. I didn't feel like what I was doing served any purpose in my life. I didn't feel like what I was doing was valued by anybody else. I still didn't know what I wanted. I had this full career. I was able to take care of myself. I was out on my own like I wanted, but I still felt like I was not doing or serving the purpose in my life that needed to be served. And it's like, it's crazy because I'm doing such, you know, a great thing. I'm making such a sacrifice, you know, for myself and for my country. And it's like, why am I still not happy? Why am I still not feeling fulfilled? You know what I'm saying? So that was like something that really, really took a toll on me, even way more than me not going back to college. It was that serious. So, next step in my life, my next serious bout of depression was based off of a relationship, and it got to the point where I was in my dorm room, well, my barracks, but it was like a dorm room, and I didn't open my blinds, you know, on the weekends after I got off of work. Like, I literally woke up, went to work, got off work, got out of my work clothes, went to go get me something to eat, and I got right in the bed. I was in my bed from the time that I got off of work to the time that I woke up the next morning for work. Like, and that it was so sickening, but that was like my ritual. It even got to the point where I made sure that I was going to sleep every night. I was taking you know, melatonin, and then when I didn't feel like that was, you know, strong enough for me to go to sleep and, you know, hurry up and pass time and get to the next day, I was taking like 3 or 4 Unisom pills. I was drinking by myself. I literally just watched YouTube videos. I binge watched shows, laid in the bed. I think the most active thing that I would do, like on the weekends, was get up to do my laundry, get up to clean my room, get up to take a shower, and get up to get food. And I would get right back in that bed. And it was so sad because I was crying out for love at the time. And I think we were both really broken, and we were both going through a depression, that I think we tried to pour that into our relationship. And, you know, she's not a bad person, and, you know, I don't fault her for that, but I just think that we were maybe just not meant to be together at that time, because we both were going through traumatic things. And it's bad because we went through our whole relationship. She didn't know I was going through traumatic things, and I didn't know she was going through traumatic things, because we had communication issues. It was just a lot. So that made me spiral even deeper into depression. And it's like, we put on that we were really happy. We ignored things that were going on with ourselves, and just like literally coexisted in our relationship. And it was just sad. So that just goes to show you that, you know, there are different aspects in your life that can cause you to go into depression. Once me and her were getting ready to, you know, break up, like when I felt like the relationship was really like going downhill. I was already drinking, but I was drinking a lot more. When I would get off of work, I would drink by myself. I would go home and drink by myself, to the point where sometimes after work I did not eat dinner. It's crazy, like it's really emotional because I haven't told many people this. There's two people that I have shared this with. So, you know, I just want to be transparent. I want to get this off my chest. I really want to live in this next upcoming year, like really like demon free. So, like I was saying, I would get off of work, go to my room, and I would drink by myself. Sometimes I would forget to eat dinner. I'd wake up the next day early, go to work. I'd be hungover. I'd throw up, you know, before work to try to get that. I'd be hungover all day, come home, do the same thing. Like, I hid it from my friends. I hid it from my roommate. And I kind of played it off as like, you know, oh, I'm doing homework, you know, I'm busy, or oh, I'm asleep, like I didn't like answer the phone or anything like this. And it actually was good too, because at this time I was overseas. I was in Korea, so you know, a lot of my family members that would try to call me on the phone, you know, we're different time zones, so you know, I kind of use that as an excuse. And I wasn't really hanging out with anybody at the time. I was just going through a lot of things. The woman that I was still in a relationship with, like we weren't talking at all. Like there was no way I could vent to her. I would send her like paragraphs and like literally get nothing back. But I know it was because she was going through her own stuff at the time. And you know, at that time, I just felt like it was me. Like I wasn't, you know, enough in that relationship. So that just made the depression even worse. So like I said, I was drinking every day, and then it got to the point where I was taking muscle relaxers while I was drinking. I'm not proud of it, but it was something that helped me feel numb to what I was going through at the time. It was something that helped me, you know, just get through the time, to pass the time. I didn't tell the woman that I was with at the time. I didn't tell my friends. I didn't tell my mom. I didn't tell my sister. I didn't tell anybody that I was doing that. It did get to a point where I did do that one night, and I got very sick. I got so sick. I was actually scared. I was like, I might have to go to the doctor. Like, I might need to get my stomach pumped. I woke up the next day and I literally was vomiting like every 30 minutes, like every 20 minutes. After that, I was like, okay, I cannot do this anymore. Like, I'm literally like jeopardizing my health and jeopardizing my well-being. Like, once you get to that point where you don't have anything else and you feel like you're literally going to die, whether that be literally or emotionally or mentally, like that's kind of when you have to take hold of yourself and say, you know, enough is enough. What can I do to make myself happy? What can I do to make myself feel, you know, worth something? So, you know, I was out of the relationship. The relationship had ended. And it kind of was a didn't look back type thing. The relationship ended, and I just, you know, went on about myself. I was still having issues with work, but I kind of started to look on the bright side, like just looking into things. Because I mean, once you're in the military, like you're in for a certain amount of time, so you really have to just take hold of that time. Don't let that time pass you by. Do something that is going to help benefit you, whether it be, you know, going to school, or, you know, get some type of certifications, or, you know, just enjoy the time. Because I mean, when are you going to be able to just travel? When are you going to be able to just meet all these different people? When are you going to be able to do this? When are you going to be able to do that? So I was taking classes online. That helped me with the feeling that I was a failure because I never finished school. I started hanging out with my friends, you know, I started going out, I started spending time, I started meeting new people, you know, just taking up the time that I would have had to just sit alone and drink by myself, or sit alone and, you know, take pills, or, you know, sit alone and, you know, stare at social media all day and wishing I was doing this, wishing I was doing that, wishing I was this relationship goals, wishing I was this beautiful person, you know, not even knowing that I was a beautiful person myself. It was just the fact that I was going through such a tough time. I couldn't see that. So I say all of that to say that there is low and then there's rock bottom. But you have to always realize that there is a high, that there is something in this world that you have a purpose for. You just have to find that. You have to leave behind all those toxic behaviors that are really drawing you to do things that are really self-destructive. I know it's really hard. Like, if you right now are going through depression, it's kind of like you don't have a way to turn, and you don't have anybody to talk to. You don't have anybody that's going to understand. And if you're anything like me, you didn't vent. You didn't vent at all. Like, I just started to vent a little bit right when I was at that point, at that turning point to where I needed, you know, to change my life. And I started doing things for myself. Like I said, I started taking classes online. I was out of a bad relationship. And even when you do get out of a bad relationship and you want to relapse, like, you know, be friends with that person. Sometimes you can't always be friends with, you know, your ex. You can't be friends with people who you went through so much with. And it's not because, you know, you dislike them or anything. It's not because you know, hate them, but it's just because you, or, you know, friends that you went through that, you know, that weren't good for you in your life, or family members that aren't good for you in your life. It's not because you hate them, and it's not because you want to be mean or malicious. It's just because you need to do what's best for you. You need to do what is going to pull you out of that depression. You need to be positive. You need to do things that bring positivity into your life. And if the things that you are doing aren't doing that, then you really need to reevaluate what is serving you, what help you to find what's your purpose. Start journaling, you know, go to therapy. If you can't talk to any of your friends or your family members, go to therapy. Like, my therapist, like, enlightens me every time that we speak on things that, like, I know subconsciously about myself, but, like, you know, she really brings it out of me. You know, find somebody that you can talk to. Really just make changes in your life. Like, if you are having self-image issues, you know, you don't have to start a diet or anything drastic, but make some type of change. Like, drink water every day. You know, if you feel like you have a lot of anxiety, meditate every day. If you feel like you, you know, don't belong in certain situations that cause you anxiety, change your surroundings. Like, change your friend groups. Like, just do something that you feel happy about. Do something that is going to serve you in the long run. And as soon as you address those things that are causing you to feel like you have a lot of anxiety, or causing you to feel like you have a lot of depression, address that, and you'll be able to let go of it and move on. If you have any questions about, you know, journaling, breathing exercises, meditating, leave that down in the comments below. I just really wanted to vent and, you know, bring to light and spearhead those things that really caused me to have depression and anxiety. And I know that other people go through these things, and it's nice to know that you're not alone. So I wanted to share this in hopes that it reaches someone, that they know that they're not alone. You're not alone. But mental health is real. Like, mental health is so important to your growth and development as a young adult, as an adult, as a parent, as a sister, as a brother, as a wife, as a husband. Like, you never understand how much of an impact your mental health has on you until you take hold of it, confront it, and look back on it and be like, wow, like, if I didn't change, like, this behavior, if I didn't change this behavior, this is where I would have been. Like, this is where I was, and this is where I am now, just because I've taken a hold of my life. I've taken the time to address these things that really, you know, had me down. really had me down. Like, don't let anybody keep you in a place. Don't let certain situations keep you in a place, or don't let, you know, substance abuse, alcohol abuse keep you in a place to where you feel like there is no turning back. The only love that you are going to get that is going to really benefit you in life before anyone else is loving yourself. And that's really, really, really what I wanted to spread with this message. You are allowed to go through things behind closed doors, but as long as you can allow yourself to reopen that door and leave it behind, confront it, let flow and let go into, you know, your next phase of life, that is what's most important. You have to love yourself, you have to be good to yourself, and you have to just do things for yourself. If not for anyone else, and if not for your loved ones, do things for yourself. Know that you have a purpose in life. Know that you're here for a reason, and know that the troubles that you are going through will not last forever. All right, I hope that something in this video resonated with you, or if you know somebody who can benefit from this video, please share this with them. Like this video, leave a comment down below. If you feel called to, please subscribe to this channel. Okay, so until next time.